from? How did that get so popular? As a Facebook post that I was thinking about for later. I think that'd be a great response. Anyhow, there's so many things you guys are going to have. I'm getting warmed up. So what do you need to know? What do you need to know? You need to know, first of all, that it's really, really difficult. There are challenges that are so ridiculous. You will lay in bed at night and you will stare at the ceiling and you will wonder, how the hell am I going to get through this? So many times you can't believe it. And then all of a sudden you'll see the light at the end of the tunnel. You'll see a glimmer of hope, and then all of a sudden it's gone, right? And you're going to make lots of mistakes. So if there's one thing that I think I could share with you that I would recommend as an entrepreneur is to trust your gut. Your gut will tell you things that nobody else can. How often does somebody share something with you along the lines of whatever it is, their opinion about something, and you know they're wrong? But do you act accordingly? Do you go the direction that you believe in, or are you swayed easily? How sure are you? Do you trust your gut? And your gut's telling you, no, she's not the right one for me. She's not the right one for me. She's not the right one for me. You've got to do this with everything you do. You know, how many people have a business already? Students that are business owners? What kind of business?
I'm part of the Venture Brothers Party Planning. We're party planners and event throwers. So, what are you doing Saturday night, Mr. Greenspan?
Wow. See that? That's networking at its finest right there.
I was being serious.
I know. I'm just kidding. It's awesome. So that's why I think you got to trust your gut. You got to trust your gut, and you got to go with what you believe.
Can you tell us what your greatest failure has been and what important lessons you learned from that event?
How much time do we have? So the one big well, life is littered with failures, so to speak, right? But Mom always said you're never a failure until you give up. So my biggest mistake, I'm going to restate the question. Again, something an entrepreneur will do. I don't like the question, so I'm going to answer this one instead. It was a big mistake. So I had a company. It was called Make It Work back in 1995. Not the same company as the one that I'm CEO of now. And I sold it. I sold it to another company. The company that bought it, or the entity that bought it, then hired me as the CEO. And we did the coolest stuff. You guys know what cloud computing is? I invented that. I'm going to say that. It's not really true, but I was part of that. Back in 1999, I had a company. It was called Push. Here's the first mistake was I paid $120. Eldon knows this story. I paid $125,000 for the URL. 17th most expensive URL sold at the time. Any of my shareholders in the room? So we built this company up, and what it was an application service provider. So we took all of the applications and all of the data, and we put them in a big data center, and we pushed them out to you, kind of like you take for granted today with Gmail or with Google Docs or with Eventbrite or with any Facebook. There's nothing local on your device. You want to log into Facebook, you can use my iPad. It doesn't make any difference, right? Everything is stored on the servers, way before its time. So 2 huge mistakes I made with that company. The first one was, one day I get I had this Italian sales guy, his name was Fabio. And I pulled him right out of Panavino, right in the middle of dinner, because he could sell ice to Eskimos. So Fabio joins me in the company, and we get a call, and he comes running in my office, and he says, TPMG is on the phone, TPMG is on the phone. And I said, TPMG, that's interesting. I looked it up. They had 1,000 employees. Oh, we're going to get a big deal, big deal. So I said, okay, get me the contact information. Let's get on the phone with him. He comes running back in. He says, no, it's not TPMG. It's KPMG, KPMG. I said, dude, that's kind of a big difference. This is a $22 billion company with 250,000 employees. Seriously? So long story short, they were looking for companies like ours. They wanted to buy a company like ours because they were kind of finding clients that needed what we were doing, hosting their applications. So where the first mistake was, here it comes. I was an employee of the Red Lion, which was the DoubleTree, which is the DoubleTree now. That's how I put myself through City College and UCSB. So I knew the rooms there. So when I did the deal with KPMG, and because we have a short amount of time, I have to kind of cut to the chase. I picked room 312. I put together a Caesar-style spread, bread and fruit and booze and cigars and the whole 9 yards. And I had the number 3 guy of KPMG and the number 14, 15 guy, the head of technology from KPMG Worldwide here in Santa Barbara to close the deal. And they threw out a number of what they were willing to pay for our company. And my blood boiled. Now, between you and me, I didn't have anything, okay? I had a couple $100 in the bank. I had a really cool job. I had a lot of future, a lot of potential, no fear. But they offered me millions of dollars for a piece of my company. And I stood up, I dropped the F-bomb, and I walked out of the room. 5 minutes later, my co-founder grabs me and pulls me back into the room, and he says, look, let's sit down. Guys, you obviously struck a nerve with Eric. Let's do a better deal. And they did. I was never completely happy with the deal. It was about $3 million for 20% of the company, and mind you, we had no revenue. Right? Valuations were awesome back then. So we went into escrow for the $3 million, and the world ended. The dot-bomb era hit. And there is no way in hell that they were going to give us our money if it weren't for just the passage of time to be required to get there. That's it. They would have pulled out, but they couldn't. We had already signed the docs. So we waited the 6 months, and the money came. And we had our first board meeting. Now, I told you, trust your gut. And I stood up, dropped the F-bomb, walked out of the room in front of some very important people. So I'm not sure that I followed my guidance there, because at the first board meeting, number 3 guy walks up to me, puts his arm around me and says, so that $3 million, that took a lot of guts, kid. Just so you know, I was authorized to go to 5. The second biggest mistake is the company failed. It disappeared. Not under my watch. I ended up leaving the company. And I won't go into detail because we're a small community, but I will tell you this. If there's anything else I can share with you, choose your partners wisely. The people that you spend your days with, in and out, you've got to understand one another. It's got to be mutually beneficial, because if it is not, somebody eats the other one. How many of you are more in love with someone else than they are with you? Don't raise your hands, please. You get my point.
That was incredible insight that you offered folks here today, Eric. Thank you so much for that answer. Is technology a prerequisite for anybody today who wants to be an entrepreneur? Do they have to be a techie, if you would?
No, no. You could do all kinds of crazy things in this world. I know people to this day that I know a big shot realtor in Montecito that has his staff print his emails for him. Print your emails? I mean, don't you get it? But that's how he rolls. That works for him. It's fine. I get it. I understand. No, it's not. There's so many amazing things out there. Have you heard of TED? How many have heard of TED? Everybody, please. This is not an assignment, but for your own benefit, go home and look at TED.com. And just to kind of give you a taste of what you'll see at TED.com, search on TED.com Jill Bolte, B-O-L-T-E, Taylor, and watch her 18-minute talk. I'm a TED